Owners of some older Pioneer DJ equipment have been shocked in recent weeks to find that Rekordbox 7, the latest version of the software for their controller, doesn't work. They plug their controller in and nothing happens. But they can't use it without now paying for a subscription. This was first reported to us by a user who posted this on Reddit, and then we looked into it. A few of our students told us they're having the same issues. So then we investigated and asked Pioneer DJ directly, and they came back to us and confirmed that yes, this is indeed correct. So it's no longer possible to plug in the affected gear and use Rekordbox 7, the latest version of the software that's designed to work with that gear, without now paying for a subscription. So in this short video, but an important one, if you're affected, I'm going to explain to you what units are affected, why we think it's happened, what Pioneer DJ said, and what you can do about it. So let's start off with what Pioneer DJ controllers are affected. If you own one of these units and you plug it in now to Rekordbox 7, it will not work. The xdj-rx, the ddj-rzx, the ddj-rz, the ddj-rx, the ddj-rr, the ddj-rb, and the ddj-xp1. So there's 7 units affected here, which were very popular in their day. Their day being the kind of mid-2010s towards the end of the 2010s. So they're getting on a bit now, some of these units. Why? Why has this happened? Well, firstly, let's ask Pioneer DJ themselves. So firstly, they confirmed to me that yes, this is true. And then they gave me this official statement, and I'll read it word for word. Our products have a life cycle, and we need to ensure we are channeling resource into new innovative technologies, allowing us to continue to produce hardware that our customers value and trust. Now, that is corporate speak if ever I heard it, but reading between the lines, what they're saying is we've got to develop, and then in doing so, we've got to leave some stuff behind. So basically tough. So why actually has it happened? Well, look, let's talk about this before I move on to what you can do about it if you're affected. So look, this is bad news, right? If you own one of these pieces of equipment, you've basically been told that it's reached the end of its life cycle and it can no longer work with their software. Unless you start paying, of course. And if it worked yesterday, fine, but it doesn't work today, you should be rightfully a little bit annoyed about that, especially because there was no little card in the box that said at the time, this is only going to work until May, June 2024, right? So look, this is an issue. It's an issue that you could argue is something that they didn't tell you about, and you spent good money on your gear, albeit a little while ago. Here's what's happened. Pioneer DJ has introduced a new way of unlocking Rekordbox when you plug hardware in. And it's my view that only the more modern hardware can work with the software in the way they've now introduced, which is what's causing the issue. So in the old days, when you plugged in a piece of Pioneer DJ hardware, it recognized that it was plugged in and it said, is this hardware allowed to use this software? Yes. Okay, no problem. Everything's unlocked. You're good to go. With more modern hardware, the hardware can tell, this is my presumption, the hardware can tell the software a little bit more about itself. One of the key things it can tell the hardware is its own serial number. So now it's not only identifying that it's a ddj-400 or whatever, but it's actually telling the software this is this particular ddj-400 or Flex 4 or Flex 6 or Flex 10 or whatever. And so what that means is that as long as you're logged into the software, as your user account with Rekordbox, it can then link that piece of hardware to your software account. In other words, your software account now has the serial number of that piece of hardware linked. And if you plug in a piece of hardware for the first time to Rekordbox 7, if it's a more modern piece of hardware and you're logged into the software, a box will pop up saying you need to register this, and it takes a second and you register it. So now it knows that you own that particular piece of hardware. And that's the way they want to do it going forward. They don't want to have the old unlock method that they used to use. This has got advantages. So it means that you can use your hardware on any copy of Rekordbox as long as you're logged into it. It also means you can unplug the hardware. And as long as you're logged into Rekordbox with your user account, you can still use all the things that you previously had to have the hardware plugged in to unlock. So you can see why they might have done this. The question is, did they have to withdraw the ability for older hardware to also unlock the software? There's two schools of thought here. The one school says, well, unfortunately, probably technically they had to make this change. So sorry, older users. The more cynical school of thought says maybe they didn't have to remove that ability for older hardware. Maybe they could have both worked concurrently. I just don't know the answer to that. And so you have to take your own view on it. But that's where we are now. We're left with the fact that the latest version of the software uses this new way of registering your hardware to your user account. And it does have advantages, but whether they had to or they decided to, the engineers at Pioneer DJ have turned off the old way entirely for older hardware. And so it doesn't work with Rekordbox 7. Unless, again, you pay for a subscription to get around its inability to hardware unlock the very good free version of the software, which is clearly the thing that's going to really upset people. So it moves us on to what can you do about it? Well, the easiest thing to do about it for now, which is not perfect, but it is existing, is just to leave Rekordbox 6 on your computer. Rekordbox 6 will work fine with your existing hardware and will continue to do so, certainly until such point as Rekordbox 6 no longer works on the latest Windows or Mac operating system. That will happen at some point. When it happens, who knows? But right now, it's fine. You can actually install Rekordbox 7 alongside Rekordbox 6 and have them both. So if you want to play with Rekordbox 7, or you own some hardware that will work with Rekordbox 7, but you also own hardware that won't, there's no problem to do that. You can't run both versions of the program at the same time, but they both use the same library and database and so on. So your cue points and your playlists and your loops and all that analysis stuff will work fine with both versions of the software. So your best bet right now, if you're affected, is to do that. But otherwise, it looks like, unless there's a big backlash here and there's an awful lot of noise made, and assuming it is possible, because it might not be, it looks like Pioneer DJ's engineers are not going to unlock this for Rekordbox 7. And unfortunately, if you've got older hardware, that's the only thing you can do. Except, of course, subscribe. But lots of people don't like subscriptions, and no one told you you'd need one when you bought your equipment. So we got to the bottom of it anyway. It's probably not the news that you wanted to hear if you're affected, but do let us know in the comments what you think. Do you think that this planned obsolescence thing is unfair? Do you feel like they should tell you when you buy the gear how long your gear will work for before it gets turned off? Do you think they even had to do this? Or are you thinking, well, look, at the end of the day, this is gear from a decade or longer ago and things change, so it's just how it is? Let us know in the comments underneath. Meanwhile, until I see you again in another video, get good, get out there and make the moments. Bye-bye for now.